Good evening, everyone. This is Vortex Weather, and I'm Jordan Baumgartner. Today is Friday, March 14th, 2025. And we have a couple days of severe weather to discuss here. First is this evening, and then the threat will go into tomorrow as well. And both of these days are particularly concerning, given how early it is in the year and the upper echelon of the threat we could see with these. So what I'm going to do is walk through the forecast real quick. We'll check out the radar, and then we'll come back and talk about the forecast a little bit more, some of the concerns I have with it, and well, I think it can go, and what you need to prepare for. So if let's go ahead and get started here. So here's day one outlook today at about 6 a.m. Eastern time, Saturday morning. As you can see, there's a 15% hatched risk area for tornadoes within 25 miles of point, and 10% across most of Missouri, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Arkansas. With a 5% around that unhatched and 2% around that. Basically, when the hatch means is there's a 10% or greater probability of an EF2 or greater tornado occurring within that point anywhere inside of it. A wind that's going to be primarily north on the north side of this moderate risk. So Missouri, Indiana, Iowa, a little bit of Wisconsin. The hatch you see is for greater than 50 knots, so 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Um, and hail kind of isn't the primary threat with this storm system, but we do have a chance for 2 inches or greater hail in the hatched area. You see Missouri, Illinois, Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Louisiana. Read through this summary real quick. A regional outbreak of severe thunderstorms is likely this afternoon through tonight. Parts of the lower mid-Mississippi Valley and portions of the lower Ohio Valley and mid-South. Numerous tornadoes, several which could be strong to intense. Widespread wind gusts ranging from 60 to 180 miles per hour and scattered large hail up to baseball size all appear likely. Um, then there's a bunch of technical discussions in here. We'll go over that in my forecast. And before I navigate off this page, we do have a rare high risk for tomorrow across Mississippi and Alabama. This high risk is very rare. Very few times has a high risk been issued, and day two especially. So, the Dixie Alley, you're gonna be experiencing dangerous weather tomorrow. High chance of tornado probability again in that high risk Mississippi, Alabama, and all the way up through Middle Tennessee, Georgia, and Louisiana. We can see strong to intense tornadoes, possibly long tracked tornadoes as well. Again, the wind threat kind of in the same area, a little bit farther to the east. But again, 60 to 100 mile per hour wind gusts, and how still baseball size kind of early on in the day across that Mississippi, Tennessee, Louisiana region, with it sneaking into parts of Arkansas and Tennessee as well. Now I want to read a summary of this outlook very carefully. And please pay attention to this. A tornado outbreak is likely on Saturday across central Gulf Coast states in the deep south into the Tennessee Valley. Numerous significant tornadoes, some of which should be long track and potentially violent. Not could be, should be. So, very particular wording there. So, they are expecting long track and violent tornadoes Saturday afternoon and evening. The most dangerous tornado threat should begin across eastern Louisiana and Mississippi during the late morning or afternoon hours, spread across Alabama late day into evening, reach western parts of the Florida Panhandle and Georgia Saturday night. So, you folks in Mississippi, you may get a rude awakening for your late breakfast, early brunch hours. Be prepared to take tornado precautions, and as we move throughout the day, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, particularly be on the lookout as we go throughout the night for these long track violent tornadoes. You need to have 3 ways to receive weather warnings. I recommend a cell phone, no weather radio, and local news outlets. Those are your 3 most reliable ways to get information. If you don't have a local media outlet, find somebody on YouTube who knows what they're talking about, and go from there. Um, so yeah, in that order: cell phone, no, weather radio, those 2 can be flipped, and a local media outlet. Your phone should be turned on by default to get significant weather alerts sent to your phone. Make sure you have those enabled. Um, so yeah, that's the primary threat. Definitely take tonight seriously, and then tomorrow twice as serious. It could be a very destructive day across this area, and of course, it's heavy trees in this area, so you won't see it coming. So again, listen to the experts and monitor the weather very closely. I'm unsure if I'll be able to live stream tomorrow, but be on the lookout for that. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's currently happening on radar right now. Let's go ahead and bring up the warnings. Well, there we go. Bring up the warnings and watches. So these yellow polygons are what's currently in effect, and as you see, all this will spread out through the area as well. So some of the basically mile per hour winds and 70 mile per hour wind gusts are possible with this. And there was a tornado watch for northwestern Arkansas and most of Missouri, into a little bit of Illinois. Tornado watch remains in effect until 11 p.m. Central Daylight Time. So be on the lookout through the evening and overnight tonight anywhere in this risk area. Gonna be a long night. This is the tornado threat. So again, as we move throughout the night, expect these tornado watches to push and populate down through here, and the severe threat just to continue to ramp up. Alright, let's go back and check out the 18Z HRRR model. We'll go ahead and play the 48-hour loop. You can see tomorrow morning, storms start to fall in Mississippi, track through Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, and then through the Carolinas and Florida Sunday morning. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with this forecast hour. Let's go ahead and pull up area sounding average for the threat today. So bring up this sounding. So basically what this does is it takes several points in this box and aggregates them together and kind of gives a feeling for what the atmosphere may be like. So some things to point out is we got a nice little curve on this photograph. So the more curve you see here generally, the higher this SRH value is going to be, and the higher likelihood that we'll see tornadoes as well. A little bit dry the further east you go right now, that value will ramp up. So get moisture, get convection with this. Let's go ahead and close out of here and take off our box soundings and just choose a point individually. If it will work. There we go. So you can see larger photograph, bigger curve, high LCL, which is currently preventing the tornado threat for right now, but again, we do expect moisture to come into this area, lower the cloud base, and allow for convection to occur and get these storms rotating, spinning, and moving. Move on a couple of hours as these storms are occurring. Let's go ahead and take a sounding. Again, this is Friday. Yeah, this is what's forecast hour about. This is about 2 a.m. So again, you can see this green and red line are closer together. That's kind of where the cloud base is going to be. Um, and we continue to expect it slow. Photograph looks um, nice and curved, so there's plenty of SRH for these storms to work with. These storms will be spinning. One of the concerns I do have in possible failure modes for both today and tomorrow is are these wind speeds in the upper atmosphere. You see 50, 60, 70 knots, which is I forget the exact conversion in my head, but which is basically just screaming winds. So there's a chance that these storms will just kind of get sealed off and won't be able to sustain themselves. That's kind of like the best failure mode for this system right now. There's a little bit of backing, so winds turning counterclockwise with height. That may prevent some of the severeness, but so far this run really isn't showing us anything in terms of that. Now let's go ahead into tomorrow morning. So you can see there's an initial wave of clutter, and then the atmosphere is expected to recover quite quickly and get conducive for tornadoes again. This is what timestamp is this? It's 10 a.m. Eastern time, so 9 a.m. in Mississippi. Now we'll go to 10 a.m. Mississippi. Um, Ignore this possible hazard type. It's not completely reliable, but you notice we do have a nice curvature in what we call the holograph. Again, this is significant in turning of the atmosphere. Got a little bit of backing above 6,000 kilometers, which if we look, could be the top of the thunderstorms, thunderheads. Get some backing in the upper atmosphere, but the lower atmosphere is spinning like a top, so it's very easy to get something to drop out of these. And again, wind speeds are a little strong at the top, so that's kind of like the savior mode, is if these storms just get sealed off and can't contain themselves, or there's just too much moisture in the atmosphere and they kind of form a linear squall line type event, and kind of coalesce and eat someone's energy. But we aren't really seeing that with the bunker motions. They aren't going to split apart and tell themselves early in the morning. And then as we move throughout the day, let's go ahead and get Alabama. So again, nice coverage in the holograph, deep level of moisture, a little bit more left-right split later in the day. Again, this is bad news if we want to see them to turn into a squall line and kind of diminish the threats a little bit, but definitely not completely. Wind speeds are again gusty, not quite as strong, so the chance of these storms tearing themselves apart isn't quite as high. Definitely enough moisture to get a nice cloud to form. Plenty of water, no cap, sorry. A little bit of a high condensation level. We do expect these storms to modify their environment and bring that lifted condensation level down. Move on. You can see a little bit, but not too much there. Let's go ahead and move to southern Alabama. Again, pretty much the same story. A little bit stronger wind speeds. Photograph doesn't look quite as good. Still plenty of coverage to get the job done though. Storm motion still favors a little bit of a split, but not enough to really affect stuff. Let's go ahead and move on further into the event. Let's get a nose sounding here. Let's go ahead and get the time first. 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, so this is 8 p.m. Central Time now. Again, large photograph, a little bit of backing in the atmosphere, a little further down in the thunderstorm, so this may cut out some of the circulations, make it harder for the environment to sustain itself. Plenty of moisture though, plenty of SR8 still in the lower levels, where the storm's getting its moisture from. A little bit of a broader split in earlier, but still good enough to produce tornadoes, especially this slinky here. Nice little coverage on this storm slinky we have. And then move on for folks in Georgia. Again, large photograph here. Deep convection layer. Little lower LCL, nice coverage, very little backing in this sounding, so definitely enough to get tornadoes to form and coalesce. Again, the failure mode with this is probably just zero amount of storms cutting each other's energy off, but still plenty enough to get the job done in terms of spin. So definitely, if we do see a linear mode tomorrow, we'll have to be on the lookout for spin ups. And then let's go ahead and check Florida Panhandle at 4 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, so 3 a.m. local time in the Florida Panhandle, I believe, still. Um, Lots of backing here. Probably will cut out a lot of the energy, but still enough shield in the lower levels to get a spin up to form. Shield doesn't look quite as strong. Storm motion is nearly identical, so still have room for spin up still. And as we move into what this would be 8 a.m. on the East Coast, you can see storms pushing through eastern Georgia and into South Carolina. Still plenty of coverage. Expecting more of a wind howl event at this point though. Sin is low, LCL is very low, so definitely can get brief spin ups with this. Again, wind and hail are probably the primary concerns with this. And let's go ahead and go back to the outlooks to kind of wrap up this video. I've been blabbering a lot. There's been a lot to talk about. But if you're just skipping forward through this video, here's kind of the threat again. Moderate risk tonight for Mississippi, Tennessee, Arkansas, Kentucky, Illinois, Missouri, and southern Iowa. Tornado winds and hail are possible. Hail up to the size of baseballs, winds 60 to 100 miles per hour and gusts, and potentially large violent tornadoes as well. And as we move into day 2 of this event, we're looking at long track violent tornadoes, especially in Mississippi and Alabama. 60 to 100 mile per hour winds and baseball size hail are again the threats. Again, hail early on, it will transition to a tornado and wind event as the storms try to become more linear. I'll update this tomorrow morning. May go live a little early, but yeah, definitely enough to be concerned about. Take tomorrow seriously. 3 ways to get weather warnings: cell phone, NOAA weather radio, and your favorite local media outlet. And if you don't have that, an online streamer that knows what they're talking about. Yeah, definitely not a day to be playing around. There's still plenty of rooms for failure in this. I don't want to be someone who says everyone's doomed. That's far from the case. But you do need to be paying attention and monitoring these storms and see where they're tracking, and be prepared to take your tornado precautions. Underground if at all possible. Ceiling room, if not, away from windows, glass, all of that. If you have a tub, bathroom in the interior, get in your tub, throw a mattress over you, protect your head. Most deaths in severe weather are caused from head injuries. So, yeah, protect your head, mattress over the tub if you can't get below ground, interior room, all of that good stuff. And monitor the weather closely tomorrow. Again, and tonight. So from now through what Sunday morning, be weather well, especially as we move from west to east across the U.S. Gonna have a significant weather day tomorrow. So yeah, I appreciate you watching. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll be doing more weather videos as severe weather continues on this spring. Yeah, stay safe and take care. Bye.